Okay, I'm at 827 Mary Street in Villa Hills, Kentucky. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We are basically looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a stack in the center of the basement in the garage. You can see here's the stack, and as you pan over, that is the entrance to the garage coming in. So right inside the garage from the main part of the basement also. So this is cast iron, which normally it would mean it's cast iron all the way out. At this age of home, that it would be cast iron all the way out to the to where it exits the house, and then it would go from cast iron to normally clay. And so I know it was covered there as we went out, but we should be able to see when we pull back at the very end there. But this cast iron actually looks very, very good. I don't know if it's been descaled, but you can see how the line actually is holding its original shape really well. So that's a very good sign. There's a little branch coming in. Now we can't send the line, the camera up those lines, but it does kind of look like there's evidence that this has been descaled, which is a good sign. Descaling just basically goes through and knocks all the rough edges off the rust, returns the line to its original diameter. You can see kind of the score marks, circular score marks around the line, and it looks like it did a pretty good job. And here we are as we transition into clay, and there's a little bit of root intrusion here. It's pretty normal, and it's usually even more normal for it to be to get in right here at this transition between the two materials. And so a little bit of root intrusion. It's about maybe medium. It's down in the flow line. You can see it's collecting grease, but it's not anything, it's not fully blocking the line right now, but it is slightly obstructing flow. And so roots are about they're very, very common in clay lines. It's just something that over the years the packing at the joints breaks down and starts allowing in little finger roots, but as long as they're maintained, it's not a big issue. And here's a little more. And so what we'll do when I pull back is I'll look for another clean out, hopefully a floor clean out somewhere that would allow better access for the cleaning, to make sure they can get, this is, looks like 4-inch clay, so you want to have an opening big enough to be able to get a 4-inch double knife in it, to be able to basically get the edges of this and get it scraped down. But normally you can either have it cleaned every few years or use a chemical treatment like Ludex once a year as a preventative measure. And you usually recommend doing a reinspection after about 5 years or so and kind of checking your maintenance schedule to see if you can lengthen it, or see if how quickly the roots are growing. But all this is pretty standard issue for old clay lines. This looks like this is starting to cause a little bit of that root intrusion is big enough to where it looks like it's starting to hold back. Kind of holding a little bit of water and debris right here at this point. So I'm going to recommend that this be cleaned before taking occupancy, and that pretty much set up a maintenance schedule in the future. There are permanent solutions to root intrusion, which would be either a lining or a line replacement, but maintenance is usually the most common thing. It's regular maintenance. But you can see these root balls are getting to the point where they're getting down in the flow line. They're not fully obstructing flow yet, but they could cause a backup in the near future. So structurally the line looks like it's in good shape. I don't see any breaks, or don't really even see any bellies or low spots either. Looks like a little connection there on the top left. I'm not sure if that's a clean out or an old lamp hole. But we're out 100 feet, so like we're going into a low spot now. In these situations, sometimes you can't tell whether this is a low spot or if this is a connection on the main. And so, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get past it. So I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go locate and see where this is and see if we're being out 100 feet. I would think that I'd be at least somewhat close to the main, and it may be that if that's the case, this may be the responsibility of SD1. But again, we're going to pause the video and get a locate. Okay, this is right on the right in the street, just past the curb, and so this should be the responsibility of SD1 or the sewer department. I would recommend contacting them. I did mark it out there with green paint just inside the street. And so they would have to do their own investigatory thing with the lateral launcher, most likely. The sewer main is across the street, and so they'll have to basically take a look and see, what they would, if they would cover this. I would hope they would, it being in the street, but it depends. It goes by a situational basis, and then you'd have to, because I cannot get past this point, and you can't see it because of the pooling, because of how deep the water is. You can't see really what it is, but it looks like the pipe sunk, obviously, with it holding water, and so there's probably a very large offset in the pipe right there, and that's why my camera won't go past it. That's why there's 3 inches of water, is that the pipe is shifted and sunk. There's also evidence of the beginning of a sinkhole right at the curb. There's a small area there that looks like it's only 3'11" to the invert, and so the top of that pipe's roughly 3'6" or something like that. So it's probably shifted and open and allowing in earth and groundwater, and that's why there's a beginning of a sinkhole. It's not very deep. The pipe's not very deep, and so it's starting to show signs of that sinkhole there just inside the yard from the curb behind it. But at any rate, I'm going to be unable to get past that 105 foot mark, and so we're going to pull back. We'll continue the inspection as we pull back, but that's what I'm talking about. So, and there were roots along the length of it. I do believe they had mentioned having the pipe relined in the disclosure, and there was no lining done. That would be almost like a plastic coating on the inside of all this clay that would eliminate the need for maintenance for the roots. You would have to clean it and then line it, and then it would basically cover all those connections. You know, it's almost kind of like inserting a PVC pipe inside the clay. It's just a kind of a balloon that they insert, and then they cure it with steam. And so it does take the place. You know, basically just puts a liner in it so it won't allow in the roots, and it turns into a hard plastic on the inside of the clay. I'm also I see this connection here, which means there may have used to have been a clean out here. I'm going to also pause here and get a locate and see if we can find a clean out in that area just for reference. So I'm going to pause the video one more time. Okay, I marked it. Don't see any evidence of a clean out. It does look like a smaller diameter than a clean out, so I don't know if maybe there is, maybe it's a storm hookup or something, but I mean, it could be a clean out, but it's pretty far down to be any kind of another hookup. So I'll poke around with a probe after I'm done. The pipe itself isn't very deep, so it's about 4'3", I think, to the invert. So if there is a riser pipe there, we should be able to poke around and find it. But there was also root intrusion in that area. You can see, I mean, this, you know, the root intrusion is fairly heavy. But again, it's not to the point where it's broken the pipe or anything like that. It's just all getting in at these seams. Overall, the line looks good structurally. It seemed to me this is the spot that was holding water before. About 78 feet. I think that's probably about the worst spot. Oh, I was wrong. I thought that was it. It's this one. This was the I saw the expired lunch there and thought that was the one, but it is this one here, 74 feet. And this is the worst one. So I'm going to try to make sure that this stays clean. Try to see if we can clean the camera off a little bit. I don't know if we have. I'm actually going to pause the video for a second and see if we can run some water here in the basement so we can clear that off. Okay, we're running some water in the stationary tub in the basement, in the laundry. And it'll take a minute for it to get down here to 70 feet, but amazing. It smells like shit, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Now, some old sewers are a lot worse.
So how is SD1 typically to deal with stuff like that?
You know, it just kind of depends. They used to be really bad about it, but now they tend to have. It seems like they took a page out of MSD's book in Cincinnati, because they used to like fight tooth and nail about it, and you know, saying that you had to fix everything all the way to the main. Mm-hmm. But then I think that they realized that they don't want any Joe Schmo out there digging up roads.
Yeah.
So I think most of the time they take responsibility for it.
Okay.
But I'm not good. There it goes. Right when you walked out.
What's that?
Just trying to run some water to make sure the lens stays clear because of the roots. So I'm trying to rinse the camera off. There we go.
So it's need cleaning at least?
Yep, it's going to need to be cleaned, and it's going to require some maintenance in the future.
Is that city tap need?
Yeah, that's going to have to be. You're probably going to have to re-inspect it once it's done. Once they repair it, because I was unable to get past that 105-foot mark, just due to the damage to the pipe. It prevents my camera from going any further. So, I mean, it should be everything past that point should be the responsibility of SG1 anyway. But still, you would want to have that inspected, and they'll probably do that if you get SD1 out here. They should inspect it from the main to try to find out where the spot is and see if they can identify it from the other side. They would put a crawler in there that would send a smaller camera off the top of it and go up in the lateral, and that way they could inspect it from the opposite side and see if they can see any physical damage there, or if they're just going to see the back side of what I saw. I mean, overall, the stuff that's on the property looks like it's in pretty good structural condition. I don't see, any breaks or anything. It's really just the root intrusion getting in at the joints, and the obviously the damage out there by the curb. So from about 38 feet up to about 100 feet, you got periodic root intrusion. The cast iron looks good. They did have the line descaled. That's what I think we're talking about, is that you can see some of the radial scratches. You can tell that it went through. And the pipe looks pretty close to original diameter, which is what you're looking to get from that. But it has not been lined. So that maybe they were talking about it. It's the cast iron. Another thing I want to note with cast iron either way is that you see how rough it is. Cast iron has a tendency to have soft clogs more often, which is, toilet paper, like excessive toilet paper. You never want to use wet wipes in general, but it's more important in cast iron because of how rough the pipe interior gets. They just catch easier. Now, being that they did do the descaling recently, it makes it a lot better. But those kind of things, you can they catch a lot easier in cast iron just because of the nature of the surface on the inside of the pipe is a lot rougher. So just make sure you're not flushing anything that you shouldn't. It should run pretty well through there. We're back out of the clean out, and so basically, to sum it all up, I was only able to make it out to 105 feet due to pipe damage there at the curb just inside the street, and then there is some root intrusion from about 37 feet, I believe, which is where the clay starts, all the way out to 105 feet. There is some medium to heavy root intrusion in multiple spots, the worst one being at about 74 feet. And so that's going to have to be cleaned, and in the future you're probably going to, as long as those trees are there, you're going to need to do some regular maintenance. Could mean yearly chemical treatments, or just having a line cleaned every few years or so. But I would also recommend a follow-up inspection in about 5 years if you're going to do the maintenance, just to kind of check the root growth and modify the maintenance schedule if necessary to make sure you're taking care of them. But yeah, that's it. That'll end the inspection at 827 Mary Street in Villa Hills, Kentucky.